Roadsters have never been a big part of BMW's business, but they are an important one. It's a whole DNA thing. Let's see how strong the family chromosomes are doing in this top-of-the-stack 2013 Z4 sDrive 35iS. And check the tech. Now, an S does not look dramatically different from a 35i, but there are about 7 or 8 key differences overall. Let's run them down. It's about 12% more powerful. Comes with a DCT gearbox only. Is an MPG or 2 thirstier. Has an active suspension. Weighs about 50 pounds more. Goes about 0.3 seconds faster. Has fancy leather. And costs you almost $9,000 more, all things being equal. Now, inarguably, the best feature of a Z4 is this, the retractable hardtop that is an absolute wonder of engineering, and it actually does something that most convertibles can't do. Gives you confidence. I know this thing's never gonna leak, and that I'm never gonna feel like I don't want to put it down because it's gonna wear out the plastic window or something. None of that going on here. High quality, 20 seconds cycling one way to the other, and you can do it up to 35 miles an hour, so it can double as a speed brake. But look what happens when the top is down. I'm going to take a minute here to gripe about something. I'm sick and tired of the organic era in interior design. What are these shapes of this dash? Sure, it's beautifully done in materials, but what is this weird silver sort of waxed mustache shape? And then you got this odd organic shape here and this slight tilt here, and I miss symmetry. Am I the only one? Now let's get to the technology. Hit the iDrive button and peeky-boo, here comes your little friend. A large, though not BMW's largest, LCD screen. I'm glad they have it powerable down and up like that, because when you do park the car with the top down, you don't want to leave that up. I don't know why, you just don't. Connected Drive brings you to both BMW's apps, which are pretty good, and BMW Online, which is a separate deal. It sets up the internet connection in the car to go online, 3G, so it can be painfully slow. And I mean painfully slow. Okay, here we go. News, weather, online search to me is the most interesting. I don't care about my stock quotes while I'm driving. And anyone who really is serious about money sure as hell doesn't get their information here. The online search lets you do a Google search and get results that are very much sort of oriented toward location. And by the way, BMW is one of the last car makers that lets you actually do things while the car is moving. You can run this guy while driving. It's not something you got to pull over for, which may be controversial, but at least it gives you the choice. The main stuff you need in terms of media sources is all here, but that doesn't mean everything. Radio is put into one area with AM, FM. Satellite is optional. The car has satellite prep only. Under the hoary old title of CD multimedia, you've got your iPod. I'm doing that through USB down here. My phone is paired up for streaming. That is included as part of the Bluetooth package. You got an aux jack over here, and with Apple devices, you can do a plug-in echo to the screen, which almost nobody uses. And a key thing that we rarely see in these test cars, but this cradle here, you see it's generic right now. That could be an iPhone or a BlackBerry cradle. If you have that and you dock your phone, you're charging off of power in the car, and you're connected to an external antenna on the vehicle. You're still doing Bluetooth for the actual communication and streaming, but that is a really cool option for very little money. Now, even loaded up with our tech package, look what happens when I go to reverse. Nothing. No rear camera, standard or optional on this car. Ain't gonna happen. Given the fact that when the top's up, the visibility is kind of crap, and it's got a great big old painted surface waiting to be scuffed on the car behind you, I think that is a serious omission. Now some drive controls. You see this shifter, it's the only one you're going to get, and the transmission connected to it's the only one you're going to get. It's a 7-speed dual clutch automated manual. No automatic in the traditional sense, and no manual in this car, not at this trim level or power level. Next to it is your drive control. Comfort is kind of normal. Sport tightens everything up, including transmission and engine response. Sport Plus does that even more and turns off traction control to hang out the rear end. Rear-wheel drive, remember. I gotta say, for a little car, it's got the biggest hood in show business. It's because they moved the cut lines for the hood from the top along the fenders to the outside of the fenders. It gives it this great big expanse. When it opens up, it's really spacious. Be careful of these. Now, this engine is your inline-6 with the twin scroll turbo. Not twin turbos, but a 2-stage single turbo tuned for various parts of the RPM range. A very effective unit in our past experience. Mounted longitudinally, driving the rear wheels, as I mentioned, through that one-choice DCT 7-speed transmission. The numbers, 335 horse, 332 foot-pounds of torque. Each of those about 30 more than on the non-S car. 0 to 60 for this 3,500-pound ride is 4.8, about 0.3 faster than the non-S car. MPG, 17, 24, 19. About 2 MPG worse on city and highway than the non-S car. And of course, that transmission is all you get on the S, that dual clutch I mentioned earlier. Blessedly, the efficiency technology here is limited to brake regeneration to lessen the alternator drag, but we do not have BMW's jerky start-stop system. Thank you. Let's go for a ride. First of all, this car's got a great exhaust note. You're going to spend a lot of time listening to that and playing it with the accelerator pedal. When you open it up, this car is a tremendously responsive ride. When you're just driving in everyday traffic, it feels a little more flat-footed than the I model with just a basic ZF automatic. It's a great automatic. Makes me think the 35i is the better overall car, and I'm not sure I need the extra 12% horsepower and torque. The car's fast, but I think the margin of this over a 35i is a degree of frenetic, not real ability. That said, it is fun when you tap into everything it's got. I was also very pleased how moving the shifter from the traditional drive mode over to sport mode transforms the car in one click, not having to fiddle with a bunch of profiles and nonsense, or even having to get on the paddles. And as with any Z4, don't go out of the house with your hair sticking up, because you're going to get a lot of looks in this car. Now it's an S, so pricey little thing, about 66 base. And right off the bat, you're going to add to that $22.50 for the tech package to get navigation with voice, traffic, BMW apps, and a few other niceties. Satellite radios, $350 more. Parking sensors, no camera, that's $750. Automatic high beams, $250. And the steal of the option list, and there are very few of those in BMW land, is that iPhone cradle adapter for $125. Absolutely. All in, we're pushing $70,000. My mind keeps going to the possibility that the 35i is the better buy overall for the modest improvement in performance you get here. If you really want a track car with that last little bit of go, you're not going to get something with a big old heavy retractable hardtop. Now, the other thing to think about is it's very hard to make this your only car. I mean, it's highly impractical in terms of storage. There were many times just in our week of testing it where I had to leave stuff behind and go back and get it the next day when I'd emptied out the trunk of the first amount of stuff I took home. That gets old pretty quick. But all in, this is a very enjoyable car that carries forward a limited but important part of BMW's heritage.